Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'm Sayyid Faris Razi. In this case study, I'll walk you through how I applied data science to identify the most promising neighborhoods in Winnipeg to open a Lebanese restaurant. Now, this project was part of my IBM Data Science capstone, designed to solve real-world problems using real data. While financial ROI for your business may look like the be-all and end-all, we focus on the key factors that can drive it. So mainly the optimal place of setting up your business with criteria like foot traffic potential, safety levels of the area, supply access, local competition, and so forth. So the intro captures the high-level roadmap of this project. So we found there to be 237 neighborhoods in Winnipeg, and as you'll find in this project, we'll be funneling down to the focus neighborhoods that we want to look at for setting up our restaurant. So let's go over this, and we also have the coordinates of all of our neighborhoods, which will be pretty neat on interactive map coming up. And here it is. So as you can see, these are all the coordinates, basically all the neighborhoods throughout the city of Winnipeg. One interesting thing you might see is this blue circle in the middle. So what do you think that is? This is basically, something's up with the zoom here. Yes, so this is centered around downtown Winnipeg. Since we optimally want to set up our restaurant near the city's hub at the very least, so this is by a 6-kilometer radius of all the neighborhoods underlined in this blue circle. So looking at the neighborhoods outside, we would filter those out and only focus within the city's hub, being a bit close to downtown Winnipeg here. In fact, interact with the map and get the names of these neighborhoods as well. Moving forward, we have a little bit of crime analysis. So using the report mentioned before, we have all the communities listed with the total number of crimes committed per community on an annual basis. So I believe this was for between 2018 to 2017 to 2018. And here you can see, of course, downtown had the most crime activity, going down to Assiniboine South being the least. So one way we decided to move forward is to exclude out the top 6 communities here and to move forward with the next 6. If you happen to be a client who wants to play it really safe, then probably you'll go with the last batch of communities. But otherwise, of course, the other communities are also open. It's not like there's crazy crime or something going on around there, but just a list of recorded crimes according to the report. Now, moving forward, we visualize this on the map. So you can see the same communities that were mentioned on the chart here. Now their sections, their shapes are visualized here as well. The same blue circle, you can see we filtered out further the neighborhoods, focusing only on key communities. So downtown is the red one here, and the other communities would be the last 6 we're focusing on. Now this is just a chart showing for our focus neighborhoods, our focus communities, the total number of neighborhoods per community. So St. Boniface has the most, Transcona probably has 1 neighborhood. Now finding the venues across all of these neighborhoods, we use the Foursquare API, basically feeding it all the neighborhood coordinates, which would then return to us the venues that we are looking for. So for example, restaurant categories, diner, joint, all these kind of venues we want to find to understand the venue distribution, which will reveal our competition, if there are any similar themed restaurants like Lebanese, Middle Eastern. We did find, interestingly, that there is no Lebanese restaurant, no Middle Eastern, but only 1 Mediterranean restaurant. So this kind of shows a green light for being almost no competition, even in the worst case scenario, setting up next to that Mediterranean restaurant here in Fort Garry. may not pose as a competition because you're coming up as the main Lebanese concept in that neighborhood. So that's pretty good. And then we have here all the red points that you see. So these are our focused neighborhoods and blue rings within 500-meter radius. And the red points that you see are the restaurants within each neighborhood. So this is an Italian restaurant in St. Boniface. The green marks that you see will be grocery stores within that neighborhood. So this one here, for example. And you get to see their distribution in a different visual as well. So we apply one-hot encoding, basically getting the mean of the venue categories. And the end goal basically of this algorithm here is to summarize the most common venues across the different neighborhoods. So we have, for example, within Edgeland, the first most common venue is grocery store, followed by cafe, all the way up to the 10th most common venue as comedy club. Similarly, for the other neighborhoods, you'll get to see their top 10 most common venues. And this paints a picture for us of the neighborhood profile, that they're most known for gyms, restaurants, and so forth. So in St. Boniface, the red bars are the total restaurants, the green bars are our grocery stores and suppliers, basically. So you can see that off the bat, maybe Assiniboine South will be a good place for us, but you might see that might not be the case, because what if there is not much of a footprint or not many customers there? So at the expense of that, it might not be a good idea to set up a restaurant, but we'll get to see that more shortly. And another scenario we can paint is that given that there are many restaurants, so therefore many customers, and you're being the one Lebanese unique concept there, then it could be good for your business. Now, to make sense of this data, since we already have distribution of restaurants and suppliers, we want to also understand like the profile of the overall neighborhoods and communities. Maybe we want to cluster them into separate groups based on the types of venues that are distributed across them. So here we apply k-means clustering, and which basically is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm where we'll be feeding all of our data of the most common venues and then cluster them into 5 groups as we do k equals 5 here. And what you'll see in a bit is on our interactive map again, is the cluster of our focused neighborhoods. So the biggest cluster you can see is in orange, and this basically we call it cluster 1. It's a bit urban and busy, so it's great for foot traffic, but your restaurant may need to really stand out, so you might need to apply some really cool level marketing right there. And in red, I believe these are for cluster 2 and 5. So the cluster tables are here. It's better to look at the visual. 2 and 5, which is cluster red, you'll see is Saint Vital. So here, if my memory serves me right, is near a university that I used to go to, U of M. You'll see that it's more suburban, family-oriented, moderate competition. So it looks pretty promising, not bad. And the other neighborhoods, the purple cluster that you see here, this is quiet, maybe low activity, riskier, probably riskier for a new business if you might come across very few customers going here and there. I remember from experience traveling around these places, so it did seem kind of empty, to be frank. And the last cluster is its own neighborhood, which is Inkster. I believe this is more of an industrial area, so not that many customers there. So probably the riskiest place in terms of not having that many customers to set up your restaurant there. Now moving forward, these are the cluster tables. As you can see, cluster 2, mostly pet store, fast food restaurants. And cluster 3, this was, I believe, the purple neighborhoods that show a different various number of venues and so on. So we have like a summary of all these clusters here. And now this analysis is a starter decision You can see it as a starter decision tool, not as a final verdict, because we don't include things like real estate costs for your restaurant to set up, transit routes, or cultural demographics, socioeconomic factors, simply because the data was not in the scope. But even without it, this gives our client and you, if you're planning a similar venture, a powerful way to narrow down locations based on the venue distribution and the criteria that we went over. So if you're thinking of opening a small business, launching a restaurant, or just want to make a smarter location decision using data, I'd love to help. Let's connect and talk about your project. I can customize this kind of analysis to your goals and budget, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.